These were freedom fighters, not feral animals. She wasn't even opposed to their goals. On Kaz's recommendation, she'd read a few of their pamphlets in the early days of the Revolution, and the call for elections and the sharing of knowledge seemed quite appealing.
"The North Reading Room is on fire," Kaz said. "They lit the tapestries first, and it spread to the scrolls."
She felt sick. All those old manuscripts. He tugged on her sleeve with a leaf.
"Come on, Kiela, we have to leave."
Leave? Now? But she hadn't finished.
"If you make a leave joke," Kaz warned, "I'm going without you."
She got to her feet. The 5th crate was only half filled. Kiela dumped an armload of books into it without even checking what the titles were.
"Enough, Kiela!"
Kaz said as she went for a second armload, and then maneuvered it toward the lift. On wheels, it scooted between the shelves, and she felt a lurch in her stomach as they passed all the full shelves of beautiful, wonderful books. She snagged a few more favorites as they hurried past. Reaching the lift, she shoved the wheeled crate inside and yanked down the gate. Kaz pushed the button with a leaf and turned the crank. The lift lurched and then descended. As they traveled between the floors, Kiela heard the sound of metal clashing on metal, and her stomach flopped. She didn't know firsthand what a battle sounded like, but she did know what a library was supposed to sound like, and all of this was terribly, horribly wrong. Kaz crept closer to her, and she wished the lift would go faster. What if it stopped on one of the floors with fighting? What if it stopped altogether? She pushed the sublevel button again and again, as if that would encourage it. The lift continued to inch downward with clanks and squeaks and whirs. The stench of smoke grew stronger. Looking out through the grated gate, she saw haze shrouding the stacks.
"We should have taken the stairs," Kaz said.
"We'd have never been able to carry the books," Kiela said.
"We won't save any books if we're dead."
He shook so hard that several of his leaves detached and floated to the floor.
"Gah, I'm shedding."
"You need to think about something else," she said. "Oak trees are struck by lightning more often than any other tree. Apples can float because they are 25% air. You can count the number of cricket chirps per second to calculate the outside temperature."
"Unless the outside is on fire," Kaz said. "How fast do they chirp if it's all on fire?"
The lift lurched as it reached the lowest level. Kiela yanked the gate open while Kaz maneuvered the crate with his tendrils. Shoving the crate outside, they exited the elevator. This far down, water level, she couldn't hear the clang of metal or smell the stench of smoke. It was overwhelmed by the ripe fish odor of the canal that flowed beneath the library. All of the city of Alyssium was riddled with canals. It was part of what made it one of the world's most beautiful cities, the jewel of the empire. Kiela remembered when she'd first arrived, very young, before her parents died, and how impressed she'd been by the sparkling canals, the lace-like white bridges, the spires, and the flowers that blossomed on every balcony, draped from every window and framed every door. She wondered how much of the city she remembered was left. Hurrying through the narrow stone passageway with the wheeled crate, she listened for any other movement. But all she heard was the slosh of water against stone and the drip, drip, drip of a leak somewhere nearby. Ahead were the boats. Anchored in slips beneath the library, the boats were used to transport books to and from select patrons on nearby islands. Each had silver sails, tied tight around its boom, and a black cherry hull wide enough to transport multiple crates of books, but sleek enough to be sailed by a single librarian. She herself had used one just last winter to deliver a full set of Scholar Sypavia's examinations of the function of forest spirits in fact and fiction to a bedridden emeritus sorcerer. He'd had his housekeeper offer her a cup of tea as thanks, but she'd declined, wanting to hurry back to the comfort of her stacks. At least those books are safe. That was only a slight consolation, though, compared to the wealth of knowledge in peril above her. She'd already filled her boat with the first 4 crates of books, secured beneath a tarp. Maneuvering the half-filled 5th crate onto the boat, she strapped it in. There was room for at least 3 more crates, but there wasn't time to fetch them.